Hello viewers, Super GT here. Thank you for joining me for another video. Now this one, well this track, the new Tokyo Expressway circuit, which was added in as part of the December update. We had an amazing race around here in a video last week, so we're going to try to repeat the magic, try to conjure up something new, and we're going to go once again. So 8 laps around the Tokyo Expressway, south in a loop, and this time we've gone against the grain because normally there's a dominant car, and in this race it is the Volkswagen GTI, the car you can see ahead of mine. And interestingly though, the Huracan here was actually the fastest car. It really dominated the leaderboard, but it just didn't seem to be as good a race car, apparently, because not many people are choosing it. But we're going to find out if that's the truth as we go for a position already. Good overtaking opportunities on this lap, of course, with the long straights into big braking zones. So you go immediately up into 7th. So the main thing we're trying to look for here is to have a good race, have a good result. At the same time, of course, just to work out whether or not this car is actually good, because it doesn't always translate over. If a car is good in qualifying, it's not always the same as it being good in a race. Because of course in qualifying there was no tyre wear, there was no fuel to worry about. You just have optimum conditions at all times. Whereas in the race, of course, your fuel's going down, your tyres are wearing out, and different cars do those at different rates. I'm just going to find out here whether or not this car is okay. And I almost go into the back of the Italian there to kind of semi-bail out just to avoid contact. You can see just how busy it is up ahead. It's like Noah's Ark up the causeway, 2 by 2 at the front at least. And I'm only 1 second off the lead at this point, but there's 6 cars ahead of me. That is absolutely crazy racing. And again, it's just the incredible slipstream that you're going to get on this track because it's got so many long straights. It is really one big sucking party as we complete lap number 1. So we've done 1 revolution of the 8. Coming into the first corner, and again it's all stacking up ahead with the Yorkie liveried Mercedes there, taking the inside line, going 2 abreast through that turn. Not ideal, and you can see as a result of all this fighting, the top 2 are just beginning to edge away. We're in a good position here, just sitting behind. We can save a lot of fuel into setting 6 temporarily as we come into the corner, and again 3 abreast there as we go in. It really is stacking up. I'm going to try to go around the outside. Probably not the best place to do it, given that it is such a long corner. It's going to be very difficult to complete that kind of move. So we stay 7th. As we say, it's not always a bad place to be, just behind here, because of the fuel saving. So we can tuck in, save as much fuel as we can. I'm not sure this car is quite as quick as the Volkswagen in a straight line. So being in that slipstream is of extra paramount importance, as actually we're losing a bit of momentum and we're coming under attack from behind. You can see they're losing half a second to the guys ahead. Bit of fuel saving, but at the same time the Lamborghini here not quite as quick in the line, going a little bit deep into the braking zone. But can we recover? Looks like we can. We've got a Volkswagen on the right hand side, but we are just going to get the extra launch off of the turn to keep the position. So still extra close. The top 2 again, yeah, they've edged away a little bit, but this battle here for 3rd, it really is raging on, and it's really good to see such close fighting. Now this was recorded on a Sunday as the Polish guy there gets a penalty for hitting the wall. Penalties around here are absolutely savage. Hit the wall a little bit too hard and you get a penalty. And once again, Noah's Ark formation is coming into effect as we come across the start line at the end of lap 2. Up the inside of 2 people into turn 1. It might get a little bit messy here as I've just gone into the back of the Italian, kind of boosted him a little bit, and it's really kind of tricky. There's kind of a tricky situation there. It's kind of headed into the inside, didn't quite deal with it ideally. But this was recorded on a Sunday, and of course with the weekly races, the races just get more and more competitive as the week goes on, as people practice more, they understand the race more, they understand the track more. So it gets harder and harder to actually win these races or to do well. Coming through this turn, I've oversteered and I've just absolutely murdered that Polish guy there. It's like 1939 colorized. As just slam him into the wall. Thankfully, he does recover. He's just behind me there, and I get a 5-second penalty. I mean, to be fair, I mean, okay, I did absolutely murder him there. Trying to correct that oversteer a little bit too much. Slam him into the wall. I'm just going to serve the penalty now. But it turned out to be probably a bad decision, because you can see here just how close the pack is. This is what I was saying. On a Sunday, it's just going to be extra close, extra competitive. And I've slowed down for a 5-second penalty, and I've gone straight to the back of the pack, which is just a testament to how close that race was. At the end, though, well, we're going to come across the line with 1% of fuel left, or 0 actually, and finish in 13th. Disappointing result. We go again. Can we have a good one in the Lamborghini? I always like to try to use a different car and see if it's possible to beat the sort of the go-to car, which is of course the Volkswagen. Is it possible to beat it in something else? So at this point here, lap 3, going a little bit deep. So this hairpin creating a lot of drama. Halfstock goes back through. He's in the Toyota. As we're going to come into the pit lane here, so I'm actually going to go back past these two guys on the brakes on the 150, receiving a little bit of tap, and we're going to swing round into the pit lane, and actually that Toyota comes back for an overtake into the pit lane. We actually saved a decent amount of fuel there, 50%, as we go in, so we can leave the pit lane, and I'm actually back ahead now, so I'm in 7th, we get overtaken by Hyundai, but I've got back ahead of that guy. Now here, going to save an extra amount of fuel, so I can really attack on the later laps without having to worry about that. And as we've said earlier, it's not too bad a thing to be the one who's behind. As I just tap the Frenchman into the turn, he can recover though and keep the position. Halfstock now up the inside, although on the way out he's going to have a bit of trouble. Slide his car on the way out, losing momentum. I actually cut the corner slightly, get a penalty. And this is lap 8 now. So we actually have Dilster here just in front, and Dragan. They were actually battling for 1st and 2nd. They have both made mistakes, and I'm just trying to pick them off here. Although at the line I had to slow down, got the penalty, and we've come through to finish 8th. A solid race. You know, I started 8th, finished 8th, so not too bad. At least I didn't get really silly penalties or lose out too much. So can we do anything in the Supra again? So again, using something else, see if we can do something in this car. The Supra seemed to be a really good car recently in Group 3. Let's push Momo's a little bit wide. 3 abreast there temporarily. Momo's a little bit wide again. And as a result of that, I'm going to gain the position. Looking up the inside of Blackjack, but not the best place to go for the move. And again, might as well just tuck in behind, get the slipstream on the way out. So just let him go ahead. But at this point here, this is where the race really unravelled, as we just completely send ourselves to the Shadow Realm.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out.
Well, that didn't go very well at all. And you would not believe it. You just wouldn't believe this, right? My goldfish actually jumped out of its cage. I was going to say cage. It jumped out of its cage, and it pulled out my Ethernet cable, so we actually got disconnected. Unbelievable stuff, unbelievable. But you see here, just look how many Volkswagen GTIs there are. You might as well call this the Emission Scandals Grand Prix. So I've relented, I've given up, and I've gone for the de facto car for this race, Volkswagen GTI. It looks really weird. It's like the top half of the car's just been sliced off. But there we are. So we're going to try to, let's see what we can do basically. From 9th, the first couple of races you've seen here, obviously not ideal, finishing 13th, 8th, and a goldfish Ethernet cable disconnection, you know, as you do. Let's see what we can do here though, in the best car for this race. It's just, this car, like, why is it so strong? Why is it so good? That is a question a lot of people have been asking. So one, top end, because you've got lots of long straights, the top end's very good, and the fuel isn't too bad, the tyre wear is good. I think the fuel is actually a little bit better than the Huracan, a little bit better than the Toyota, so you can save a crucial half a second or so in the pit lane, which in a race as close as these are, that's all that matters really. But then also, it's just around the fast corners, especially for that final sector before we get to the start line. it's just so planted. There's just no drama with the handling. It's just really easy to control in the medium to high speed corners. The only weakness I would say is coming out of slow corners, but you just have to manage your throttle in a little bit. Coming into the hairpin, did I sense some contact? It got a little bit messy, should we say, but we're not getting the SR warning, so I don't think there was actually contact there. We gained a position up into 7th, Momo's up into 5th, ahead of Halbstock here. So Halbstock going for the alternative car, as he typically does. We've raced against him many times, and he does like to choose something different, so fair play to him for taking the fight to the other players in something different, which was what I was trying to do earlier in the video, but it didn't really come off as I would have liked. So sitting behind here, you can see here setting 4, looking at the bottom right of the screen, 3 now, so just saving as much fuel as possible, so when we go for that pit stop it's going to be shorter and we don't have to put so much fuel back into the car. So then down this long back straight going towards the, how many degrees, 90 plus 45, so like 225 degree corner, a triple apex turn. So actually going to get overtaken, or almost. Look around the outside, although Momo's goes really deep here, so I'm going to try to force my way through. Bit of contact, but I've held the apex nicely. Back into my favourite position. We actually receive a penalty, 3-second penalty there. So there was a slight bit of contact, and I think he's just gone beyond the line, so the game's kind of decided that I pushed him wide. I prefer to call it a casual strong overtake, as now we're going to tuck up right behind the 4GT and get sucked along at maximum velocity. So good stuff here. The gap up ahead, you can see, is really opened up quite quickly as a result of all this fighting. A couple of seconds. In fact, I can't even see the person ahead. In fact, there they are, just going into the hairpin now. So a couple of seconds at least. Halbstock deciding to go defensive. The 4GT really good in a straight line. We know that. We've seen that so many times before. It does perform really well on tracks with straight lines, which is most tracks to be fair, but long straight lines. The key weakness for me is the braking on that car. Halbstock doing a good job so far, sitting in 5th, and I'm sitting in 6th. So I've gained 3 positions at this point, which is a good return. And it is no coincidence that we've gone for the best car and already having a much better race than we've had before. It's just the controllability of the car. It's just really easy to drive, which means I can just really have a mistake-free race. Obviously, we've got that 3-second penalty to contend with. But other than that, I think the car, really lending itself to a stress-free race and mistake-free race, ultimately or mostly. So again, tucked into that slipstream, 5 fuel mix there down the straight, really saving a lot of fuel. But when you're at top speed, let's say you get up to top speed in the car, and then you just whack down that setting down to 5 or 6, you don't actually lose much speed at all. You really don't. So it's worth getting up to speed and then just whacking it down and saving fuel, and you're not really losing much time by doing that. And the gap opening up behind Momo's, I'm not sure what's going on, maybe some battling, some further battling back there, which is helping us try to pull away. So the gap over a second. Looking back, I'm just trying to tuck in to this slipstream, just letting Halbstock do all the pacing work at this point, as we're trying to edge that gap open to the people behind. Just make sure they can't kind of get an undercut on us in the pit stop strategy. Once again, I will say that this track, I really enjoy it, and once again, Gran Turismo coming out with these amazing fictional circuits which work really well. As Halbstock goes really deep, am I going to be able to get the car back now? He takes the wider line, and actually as a result of that, he can kind of get on the traction a little bit earlier. I think Momo's gone into the pit lane there, so that's something to watch out for. He can get the undercut. So he's of course going to have a lap on clean or fresh tyres, I think is the right word, and he'll probably be a little bit quicker. He might edge towards us as we are still of course on our 3-lap old tyres now. So lap 3 there, kind of a solid lap, just really tucked into that slipstream as much as possible. In fact, if I were to go ahead, I wouldn't be saving much time, and I would just be losing time in the pit lane because of the fuel. I do sometimes wonder whether the fuel is a little bit overpowered. Sorry, not the fuel. The slipstream is a little bit too strong on this game. Sometimes it's you can rely on it too much, but it is good for promoting racing, as you can see here. It just propels me past quite easily. As we come into the turn, receive a bit of a tap from behind, and Halbstadt's going to go wide, and we're going to get slapped with a 4-second penalty as a result of that. So not much I could have done there. I mean, it was up the inside. It was looking like a good move. Kind of got a little bit of a tap from behind. And once again, the game's deemed that I've pushed them wide, when really it was a bit of contact from behind. But we're going to go through. Now, we've got a big problem to deal with here in the shape of a 6.930 second penalty. And half the race within which to try to open up a gap big enough to keep the position, which is honestly going to be very difficult. The key thing here, though, you see as we look behind, the gap 1.4 seconds, so I do have a gap. At least they're not in my slipstream, and that's quite a crucial factor in this game as well, as we've spoken about. So a nice line into that pit lane as we come in, 48% of fuel, and as we leave with 61% and 62%. Look at that gap behind. Halbstadt just following us out. Gap down to 1.2, so he actually fueled a little bit less than us. So he saved a tiny bit of time, maybe 2 tenths or so in the pit stop. He's been overtaken here by a Portuguese guy, so maybe someone who didn't pit or someone who pitted a lap earlier. He's been overtaken there, which is good news for me. Hopefully they can start fighting. I can just begin to edge out this gap a little bit. 6.9 seconds. It's going to take at least, I would have thought, 3 seconds to serve that. I'm going to lose 3 seconds. I would need a 3-second gap. Or I need Halbstadt to get some penalties at the same time. So this is lap 5 now. Coming through here, taking a really nice line. It's really pretty much how you want to take it. If you go forwards beyond the line, the painted lines on the ground, then you begin to get penalties. So you're going to try to get as close as possible without crossing the line. And it's just that delicate balance you have to try and find. At this point here, coming into the hairpin, lap number 5, gap almost 2 seconds, so we are beginning to edge that gap open. 2 people into the pit lane, so as we come out and come through, one of them rejoins ahead and one rejoins behind, just coming out there behind Halbstadt. So I'm up to 5th once again, so reclaiming the position I was originally in before all the pit stops began. And not too far off the 3rd and 4th actually, they're just ahead, albeit with slightly fresher tyres. And in fact, the race leader is only 7 seconds ahead, not a massive gap. It's Key 25, who is very quick. And second place, you know, is within sight. It's not actually too far away. So decent performance thus far in this race. Or third place is at least in sight at this point here on lap 7 as we come through the turn 1. And okay, we're going to cross the line here with 0.9 laps of fuel remaining, with of course 1 lap left to go. So I am going to have to save during this lap. The gap is just under 2 seconds, and Halbstadt does actually have a penalty at this point. So this is a really weird lap, because it's a weird mix of saving fuel and managing this gap and trying to create a gap, trying to save fuel and make sure we get to the end without running out, which happened last time. Of course, you may well have watched the video last time, and fuel was sketchy in this race, because of course you want to put in as little as possible and get to the end. You don't want to overfuel at all. So 6.8 remaining. He does have a penalty. I think it's like 1.8 seconds. Does Halbstadt. I'm not sure that's going to be enough to keep the position though. But as we come through this turn, looking back, is flashing 3.4. He's got a 3.4 second penalty. So that's quite an interesting development. And we're going to go through the final turn. Let's see how this one got resolved. He's right behind me now, one second behind. As we come up to the line, am I going to be able to keep this 5th position, or is Halbstadt going to get past? As we come up to the finish line, serving it all. Actually, Halbstadt not quite getting the job done, so he's going to finish 6th. I'm going to finish 5th, and that was quite a decent result. Ultimately, started 9th, finished 5th. A couple of little problems there with the penalties. Finally having a good race, albeit it did take us having to move over to the Volkswagen, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts as always, guys. Thank you for the support on the channel. As always, thank you so much. I shall see you next time. Goodbye.
Listen.